it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in on a great viewer question, and that is, why can't you ever please the narcissist? This is a great viewer question. I really truly do feel someone who is a malignant narcissist, there is never enough. Enough is never enough. They have just sort of this insatiable need for power and control. So part of that means being sort of chronically having what you might consider a deficit mindset, a poverty consciousness, feeling to need to prove themselves, and especially as it relates to a status, meaning something that gives them a clout, a leg up, a knee up. And in other words, they can only get that sort of feeling, that reward, that juice to them is through having that uneven up and down, back and forth, to keep that feeling of superiority that they need day in and day out. So they have this need for validation and admiration to the exclusion of giving it to others. They might appear as if they are, but it's very superficial. It's what you would call lip service. They will say and do whatever, especially to ego stroke their supply into keeping them, and enabling the relationship to give them what they want. This is disempowering. This is not a healthy relationship style or mindset. So the fear is really how they don't want to have that sort of stability. It does not feel right. So they will always need to target. They will always need to condescend to. They will always need really on little minuscule things to big, all matters really great and small will be the object of their dissent, of you. So keeping that, sort of nothing is ever good enough. They're always, I think for them, they must always feel that that is the right path for them on the up and up, to have more status, more limelight, more stars, more whatever, friends, whatever the more is. It can be from the material to what you consider immaterial, like relationships, but I think they do even objectify and just sort of collect and categorize those as well as part of what they need to appear. It's always about the appearing as if from the outside. So it becomes very confusing, I think, for a lot of people who see and observe this and experience this on the flip side with a relationship with these types of personalities. Because it becomes really unbearable. It becomes oftentimes a lifestyle that is not healthy or is not required, not needed, unnecessary. So you might find yourself going through a lot of unnecessary situations, ruts, struggles, confusion, fights, just because the narcissist is sort of on that up and up and you're like, okay. In other words, things don't have to constantly be proving of yourself, proving and getting that admiration that, wow, you are, so this, you are so that. That's really what they need. So it's kind of like their orange juice. It's their juice. It's what they live on day in and day out, whether it's a family, a marriage, a workplace, a community, a friendship, a volunteer. It's just who they are through and through, thick and thin. So people then, I would say in the beginning of the love bombing, they get caught up in this cycle. They get up in this trap of needing to reinforce or appease the narcissist. It might just be, changing for them, changing to keep them content. They need something more out of you. And if you are not of that level, then you can expect to be ghosted, or you can expect to be belittled, criticized, just because of their own ruling stick. So in other words, if they have a measuring stick, you don't measure up, well, that might be in inches, and then you can go to someplace else, and then there's a measuring stick that's in centimeters, You will never measure up. So you might oftentimes feel that this is also discontent of the narcissist. You might feel that they're always sort of unhappy with you. Has nothing to do with you. It has to do with them. So it has to do with the emotional climate that they create. Almost like, remember the Peanuts back in the day? They had that ping pong with the negative, dirt flying all around them all the time. It's kind of like that. They create this environment. So walking on eggshells, feeling that you're not good enough, that you have to appear as if, play a role as if you're trying out for a Shakespeare play in the year 502. You're all ready to audition. You're all sashayed up or whatever, and then you're like, okay, and then do I get their approval this time? Did I, and so it becomes a constant need for approval. And this is always a changing target, a changing standard, a changing whatever. It's just an ever changing target. So you will never feel on target. You will never be on target. You'll never ever feel that things are okay, because for a narcissist, everything is not okay. There's always something to be upset about, prove, put up with, for them to be miserable by, because oftentimes they feel that they shouldn't have to contend with, or be involved with certain low-level situations, people, event, that they're too good for that. This is beyond me, this is beneath me, and so they will not feel that this can go for a doctor who is this way. You might have a narcissistic doctor who might be like a surgeon. They're all just about, well, I did the surgery and, that's about it. I'm not required to inform, educate, check with this. So they see themselves really as, this is all I need to do. And then, you are just to be this. So there's no other room for sort of really getting that clarity, getting that okayness. This is what they thrive on. They thrive on really that woundedness in others, that vulnerability. Pointing out that in others. They're seeing it through a set of lenses that oftentimes does not have anything to do with reality, actuality, fairness, or anything of that nature. They see it through the way that they want to see it. And oftentimes people get dragged around and dragged through the mud by this dynamic and by this experience, whether it's in a family, a marriage, a workplace, a community, a volunteer, wherever it is you have encountered this sort of person who's always discontent. And you have then found that you're then part of your role has been etched in, that you are somehow to pacify, placate, appease, and give into. So everything else that your need is sort of shut down, dismantled, swept under the rug, put on the back burner, hauled out to the dumpster. Usually it's pushed down. That is known as repression. Sigmund Freud, where people sort of bury things that are too difficult to deal with. So traumatizing events. Wow, that was really painful. Too much to deal with in the moment, so it gets pushed down, especially for the existentials. Your life or death, your shelter, your close relationships, your food, love, warmth, all these basics. So when we talk about like the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the narcissist will sort of make their own self-actualization part of everyone else's problem, if you will. And then if you aren't sort of giving into that level and negating yourself, or not getting in return what you are to give, in other words, so they won't dish to you what you are required to dish to them. So in other words, it's always the narcissist who loves to be admired. Oh, this, they always want to be admired. This can be a healthy part of relationship, part of mirroring, part of, oh my gosh, great job, or what amazing trip, or you did that amazing job at your, an amazing presentation. You raised your child so well. You did this. So that's part of healthy mirroring. But that is, healthy is not being intimidated, threatening, trying to have one that is better than, and sort of that discontent chronically. That is unhealthy. That keeps people working and feeling over obligated, that they're somehow not enough. And then that will be a lasting, and oftentimes what is experienced is part of what people, I think, even experience as a chronic hurt within themselves. So it becomes almost like a chronic personality trait. I am always hurt. I am a loser. I am weak. I am stupid. I am dumb. I am, so those are all like the commands of the narcissist that they want to imprint, because that's really sort of how they feel about people, as if they have the luxury to just pick and choose. I don't have, they just feel that they have the luxury to pick and choose and, be as if they will not be there during your hard times. They will be there, because if it makes them look bad, takes them out of the game, this might be embarrassing for them. So they don't like those, to feel very humble, humility, let's just be, this is okay, we can be like everybody else. They don't like to feel like everybody else. They want to basically steal the thunder. They want sort of like the spotlight to follow them around. So, the spotlight, you could be at a big party and they just want the spotlight where they're at their table. I mean, you might have 100 people, 1,000 people, but they want to always, they can't share the spotlight, be in the audience, have other people, especially if there is some sort of motive or some sort of control that they want to do. So narcissists will control their discontent, not letting you have your own thing, meaning, you can't order your own dish at a restaurant. You have to give me this, if they're taking you out. So it's this sort of feeling that you have to half it, misconstruing your motives. You only call me when you need me, or, your needs, poof, you're sick, and this is this is to be avoided. You're not feeling well. Your job isn't going well. This isn't going well. That they're really not wanting to be a part of that. They don't want to deal with that level. So their self-actualization is sort of always inverted. It becomes sort of, instead of it being on the up, it's just sort of what they need, instead of the foundation of being functional, and being able to relate to other people. They think it's beyond them, beneath them, and especially when you are a scapegoat. So don't fall for that. Realize that their discontent is their discontent. And just because they're discontent and creates that environment doesn't mean that you are the cause or discontenting to others. Don't attribute that. Realize that they will, if they have you believe that, they're, of course, they get a rise out of that. So don't be made a fool. Don't be made a tool either by this. Feel good about self and allow that to be. Even if that is like an emotional asphyxiation for the narcissist, which means they don't want you to breathe that in. They don't want you to be properly inspired. Having that fullness of self, it might seem contradictory or from a different school than them. That is okay. That is what makes the world interesting and go around.